everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. Every week we get together on a Friday and have a look at the top 5 something in Blood Bowl. Probably Blood Bowl, always Blood Bowl so far, but sometimes we'll do something different. Anyway, we have had a look at the top 5 Bash teams, and we've had a look at the top 5 Dash teams. So now we're kind of rounding this out with the top 5 mid-range teams. So these are not just the teams in the middle. I did see a couple of people comment that, and you know what, you're not massively wrong. But what we're looking at today are the top 5 teams that are best able to flip-flop between. So if they're up against a Bash team, how can they use their agility and speed to win it out? And if they are up against a more vulnerable team or a faster team, how can they use their Bash to beat them out? So really, we've looked at Bash, we've looked at Dash, and now we're going to look at these teams, and these teams that are the ones that can bounce and pounce. So let's have a look. We put a post out last week, this week, a week, and got all your feedback. We put it onto a spreadsheet. Normally I do my 5 and then compare it to yours, but actually I'm very happy that we've got a load of your I mean a load of feedback, so thank you very much. So we're just going to go through your results, and this time I'm going to criticize you. Anyway, let's go to number 5. Number 5 is the Undead team, and you know what? I'm pretty happy with this result as well. So Undead have got a ton of Bash. They are well represented in Bash land. They've got 2 mummies who are just, I think they might be underrated and potentially undercosted. They're strength 5, mighty blow, no nega trait, so they can bash with the best of them. They've got 2 whites which are very handy blitzers. The rest of the team is a little bit chaffy, but they do have quite a lot of speed when it comes to those ghouls. So the ghouls are movement 7 and dodge. So what you can end up with here in the Undead team is a team that primarily wants to bash, to be fair. But if they're up against a team that is stronger than them, so potentially ogres, some of the chaos builds, chaos pact, you know, there's a ton of teams out there that have got strength and that can technically out-bash Undead, especially when you're playing up against something like a chaos team that's got some claw. Undead can move, they can shift. If they've got a pack of ghouls, 3 or 4 ghouls, that's movement 7 dodge pieces, that's a 2-turn touchdown with no go for it. They get a ton of ability to maximize the ton of agility that they do have. They are sneaky fast. This is why Undead are tier 1. They can brawl with the best of them. They've got the cheap linemen here to just take punches and get in the way. But realistically, with those 2 blitzers with Edge 3+ and an assortment of ghouls at movement 7, Edge 3+ and dodge, this team is able to make very fast plays. If you think about it, there's a lot of teams out there, average speed is 6, right? Orcs is a cracking example here, love Orcs. But they are mid to heavy. Okay, they don't have the breakout speed. Undead here, 2 strength 5 guys, ton alignment, and a bunch of movement 7. Strength 3, to be fair, is really important. Dodge pieces. Undead, I like it. That was your guys' number 5 mid-range team. I approve. Number 4, Lizardmen team. Okay, so Lizardmen are an interesting one. I don't know about them counting as mid-range, but they realistically are both Bash and Dash. This team has got an offensive amount of strength and just a borderline unfair amount of speed as well. So I guess I get it. I get these guys being in there, and they probably deserve to be honest with you. The thing is with the Lizardmen team, you can put them in the top 5 Bash, you can put them in the top 5 Dash. There's an argument there to be made 100%. So I think them being represented on this team does make sense because they can massively flip-flop. You know, they can bounce to the ball, they can bounce through gaps, but they can pounce on a team that's unsuspecting. Although if you're playing a Lizardman team, you need to be suspecting, because with 6 Sauruses at strength 4, a Croxagore at strength 5, this team can brawl with the best of them. And the Skinks at movement 8, stunty, dodge, edge 3+, are just so fast. So if there is a position where the Lizardman team is being outblocked, now at strength 4 with no skills, they can easily get outblocked by, for example, dwarves or teams that have got a lot of block. Norse are well represented here. They can quite easily outbash the Lizardmen. And the thing is with Lizardmen is when you start losing 1 or 2 players, they're pricey. It hurts quite a lot. So these guys here, yep, I like it. Ow, my hand. I've managed to hurt my hand. I like it. They're fast. They're strong. If you need to play the strong game, you can play the strong game. If you need to move over to play an agility dash game, they can really hoon it through. Lizardmen are just really good. Yep, like it. Number 3, Dark Elves. This I love. Dark Elves made my top 5 mid-range teams. They are bang on the money. Okay, they're not slow, but they're not fast either. They've got movement now. They've got movement 7. They've got movement 7 on a ton of their players. They've got dodge on some of their players. They've got block and armor 9+ on a lot of their players. So when it comes to Dark Elves, I like the fact that they can flip-flop. Now, they are more dash than bash, which is interesting because they will struggle against the high strength teams. Okay, if you've got a few strength 5 pieces, then Dark Elves are going to have to avoid those pieces. But in that situation, they become the dash team, and these guys are no slouch when it comes to dashing. Edge 2+ with movement 7 on 4 blitzers, maybe 2 witch elves, maybe 1 or 2 runners as well, or, you know, let's say 1 runner, 1 assassin if you're looking at a kitted out Dark Elf team. That is a ton of high agility movement 7 pieces, and we said this about the Undead team. You know, when they need to kick it into gear, that much move 7 dodge is going to be superb. Well, guys, when that dodge is edge 2+, it is going to be even better. And on the brawl side here, if you're lining up a team that is not prepared against Dark Elves, that 4 block frontage is just going to start smashing face, and then you get some frenzy in there. I think Dark Elves are a very representative mid-range team, not just in the way they can flip-flop one way or the other, but very similarly to the Lizardmen team. They do both all the time. Like Dark Elves, if they can't outbrawl you, they're going to strike specifically and then flood and, you know, use clever screens to get away with it. Dark Elves at number 3, I love it. Number 2, it's the Necro team, and I love this pick as well. Necro are brilliant. They are slightly underrated, although not in Europe, where they are classified as tier 1.5 most of the time. This team, it is not the strongest, and it is not the fastest. It is weaker than the Undead team, and it is a little bit faster. It's a really interesting one. This is a very tier 2 team, but it has so much power and so much potential. I absolutely love it. If you're going up against a weaker team or a mid to light team, okay, humans without ogre, something like that, those golems paired with the werewolves are going to be able to smash some stuff in. But when you get to play the strength role using those golems, using your extra zombies to just pound and take punches and just allow your key positionals to strike where you want to, the werewolves can sneak in there with claws even against things like dwarves, and that is the really interesting one, because you will be able to play a really strong front line with this team and then make some excellent, thank you Windows, to make some excellent blocks there with those frenzy wolves. And 2-die blocks with claws is going to start removing dwarves, even dwarves, so they can in sometimes. Do I want to restart? No, because last time you restarted me, you just wrecked all my audio settings, so to heck with you. Necro, they can flip to speed in no time at all, and it is with werewolves, but they've also got the ghouls. So the Necro team is very much Undead light, which means they can move further away from the plodding Undead and just shift it into big speed mode. I love Necro as mid-range. I think they're a fantastic little challenge for a team. I love the new kit. Whether you like the ghosts or the ghouls, I don't know, but it is a classic mid-range team. I love it. You flip-flop, whatever you need to do, you can get done, but you're never the best at it. Fantastic. And you guys knew it was coming. How could you not? Mostly because you voted for it, which... honestly, it's so lovely to be scot-free. However, I would have definitely gone with this as well. Human team, mid-range, number 1. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting, though, because they don't have the strength capacity of the Undead team, potentially the Necro team as well, but what they do have is just that blanket averageness across the board, which means that in the situation where they can apply bash, they've got a ton of armor 9 strength 3 pieces and a bunch of block guys. Even without the ogre, they can form a really solid line, and using clever blocks and honestly underrated the blitzers, even though they are rated highly, they are still underrated. Those players, as soon as they start getting guard, mighty blow, they become absolute killers, and you get 4 of them on the team and they're backed up by cheap linemen that can do whatever you need them to do. So humans are able to dish out a ton of pain, and if you've got an ogre, think about it, you've got 4 block and 1 big strength 5 guys backed up with a ton of players, and because the team is so flipping cheap, rerolls are cheap, you are going to be fully kitted out as well. Which means that if you cannot outbash because you're going up against a team that is stronger than you and has managed to equal you on the block front, you're going to go to your speed. Passing 2+ on their edge 3+ sure hands pass thrower makes him an excellent quarterback. You've got some great catchers. What are they? 65k, movement 8 and dodge. Ton of speed, and because they're so cheap and because the team is so cheap, you can have a catcher on your team and it won't affect your lineup. You're going to have 12 guys most of the time, so think about that. When you want to bash, you've got a 4 blitzer frontage with an ogre, and when you want to dash, you've got one of the best throwers in the game, had to get it in there, with probably a free catcher, and if not a free catcher, then these blitzers perform admirably as tight ends, and there's 4 of them at movement 7. So yeah, you're not going to be massively high on the dodge front with this team, but you're going to be able to do a mixture of everything. So I love this. I love all these teams. They all bring their own challenge, but they are really flexible, and that's the key. And I think that's why I've always liked mid-range in every game I've played, because you get to try different tactics. You get to outplay your opponent at their vulnerability, and I just think that's a really cool challenge. A couple of other teams worthy of mention here. Skaven are more dash. They can bring a little bit of bash with 2 blitzers and a big guy, but where their linemen are armor 8+, it means they're really vulnerable basically all of the time. Dark Elves got that in there. Human definitely, Necro definitely, Undead, and it's tough. I wanted to include Orcs because I'm on an absolute power trip with Orcs at the moment. Classic Orcs. They're not fast enough to be mid-range. They're just a light heavy team, but Orcs, just loving running them at the moment. The setups are awesome and you can do a ton of stuff, but they don't necessarily have those key speed 7 or 8 players. You can't outdash a lot of teams with Orcs. You can outbash absolutely everybody though. It's beautiful. Anyway guys, thank you very much for sharing your opinions. It's great to see what you think. Mid-range teams is an interesting concept that we don't really see done very often, but it is all about that flexibility. And you can flex with most teams, but these teams here listed are probably the ones that are going to be the most adept at changing from one style to another. And yeah, I'm going to wrap up. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.